Okay, and we're back. So, you guys really enjoyed it for how long it was on. So, I was thinking, let's just do another part for you guys. Just a special treat, you know. New Year's, new me. Gonna try to post gonna try to post 2 videos every day. If I can't, I'm very sorry. But if I do, yeah, you're welcome. So yeah, where we left off was, I'm pretty sure they just left UA. Yeah. Yep, pretty much. So you guys, so I looked at the comments, and the ship's gonna be this: Deku X Toga, and it's pretty much Deku X Toga, Mirko, and Midnight, because you guys wanted Midnight since I introduced her to help Toga. So yeah, Midnight's gonna be the other one. And like I said, this is a college. I think I did. If I didn't, well, it is. Okay, so yeah. And let's begin. So it's like 2 weeks before they get the letter. So let's say Izuku gets his letter, and on the letter it said, or the video thing, whatever you want to call it, and the video pretty much said that Izuku was the highest score, and you will be in class 1A. Your teacher will be Midnight. And I guess we could put your teacher will be Midnight and Izawa. And Izuku's like, oh, okay then. And he called up his friends. He called up Mirko and all of them. They all said that they got in pretty well with a good score. And they told them what their place was in the exam. And Izuku said, well, I got first. And they're like, oh, good job. Mina got 5th. Toga got 4th. Mirko got 2nd. Bakugo got 6th. Toroki got 3rd. I should just say that for right now. And Kirishima, Kirishima got 7th. And Toga, I don't know if I said her, but let's just say she got it. I don't care. Anyways. Sorry. And they all wanted to meet up and celebrate together. And Izuku was talking, and wait, did I say Izuku's mother died? I'm trying to remember. Hold up, I gotta check again. Give me a second. Yeah, I'm retarded. I forgot that he is living with Mina. Yeah, I didn't really check the video to see where we left off. So yeah, I'm just using my brain, and I should not be doing that. Anyways, he asked Mina's parents, and Mina's parents said, yeah, go ahead, just don't be gone for so long. And pretty much Deku has an apartment because he's in college, and he says, oh, we're just gonna stay at my place for probably the night. And he says, okay. Well, they say, okay, be safe, and you two have fun. And tell your friends I said hi, because their friend's been over quite a bit, but they don't really know about Toga. And they said, okay. And they walked off. Or ran off, whatever you want to say. And they met up with everyone, and Toga didn't really... And Deku called Toga because Toga wasn't there. And he said, hey, are you coming? And she said, oh, I didn't know if you wanted me to because I'm not in your original friend group. And he says, oh, it doesn't matter, just come on. Right? And she says, okay, I'll be there in a little bit. And they waited about 2 minutes, and she was there. And he said, oh, nice, great, you're here. Okay, let's go. And let's say they went to a pretty nice restaurant, yeah. And Izuku paid for them. And Kirishima said, hey, are you sure you want to pay? I could pay for us if you want. And he says, yeah. And he says, oh, if you're sure. Dude, are you hold on, sorry. I'm just kind of pissed off what just happened. Where was I? Yeah. And, sorry. And Izuku paid for them. they all got pretty, and they just went to like some restaurant, like let's say they went to some Chinese place where they made ramen in front of them and stuff like that. And Zuki said, well, if you guys want to sleep at my apartment, you guys can. And I was just going to stay there for right now. I just got the apartment for when we go to UA, you know? And they're like, oh, that's smart, that's smart. Hold on, give me a second, I gotta put it on something. Okay. Anyways, and they're like, if you're sure, if you're okay with that, sure. And they just went to Midoriya's apartment, and they just pretty much watched a movie there and just messed around. Izuku did inherit money from his mother, so with the money that he inherited, he has like, let's say, $50,000. Because yeah, his mom actually worked really well and was like a manager, let's say. Sorry, I'm bringing the mic closer. Give me a second. Okay, there we go. And they were just watching a movie, and Mirko and Toga were just close to Deku, really. As Mina and Kirishima were just looking at them, right? And let's say Izuku heard something drop outside of his apartment door. So he said, I'll be right back, guys. And he walked out, and he saw it was midnight, and she had groceries, and she dropped some. Izuku picked up some, and Midnight didn't notice who it was, and she said, oh, thank you, sir. And then she looked up, and it was Izuku. And Midnight was really close to his face, right? It was like, let's say, a Sharpie, like the length of a Sharpie away from his face. So yeah. And she started blushing very badly. He says, are you okay, Midnight? He says, are you okay? Oh, hello, Midnight. Right? And she said, hello, what are you doing here? And he says, oh, I'm just here, this is where I live for right now, since I'm going to UA. And she's like, oh, you got in? And he says, yeah. And all of Izuku's friends, Mina and Kirishima, noticed that he was kind of gone for a little. He's been gone for about 5 minutes, so they were wondering what's going on. So Kirishima said, I'll go check. And he went out of the room and saw he was just talking to Midnight. And Midnight's like, oh, what class did you get into? He said, I got into yours with Azawa. And she said, nice. And then he asked, do you need help to take your groceries to your room? And she said, no, it's okay. And yeah. Hold on, give me a second. I need to drink something. There we go. Anyways, and he said, okay, if you need anything, I'm just room. Let's say it was like 1408. Yeah. And, hold on. And pretty much, it was a week later, and it was 3 days before the first day of school. Izuku was just by himself, and he bumped into Midnight again. And Midnight was just hanging around with, let's say, what hero should I make her? With Mount Lady, yeah. And Midnight said, oh, hello, Izuku. And he said, hello, Midnight. Right? And all of a sudden, you hear this big bam. And Izuku didn't know what was going on, so he rushed over to it. He was there before any heroes, and he saw this man running in a dark hoodie. And he went to go see why he was running, and when he looked at the person he was running from, he saw a little girl, or like a little girl crying, and a person that was on the ground bleeding. Izuku thought for the worst and chased after him in his wolf form, and he jumped on the man and said, "What did you do?" And then you see he had a knife on him, and Izuku jumped back quickly, and people didn't know what was going on, because this was in the middle of the street. And Izuku said, "Everyone get back, it's a villain." And everyone ran away from them. And the villain, and this man had just had a knife, but he also had a quirk, and his quirk was speed. So he thought he would have upper hand. He started trying to run around Izuku as fast as he can. He was going around him, with the knife, he was slashing at Izuku, and when Midnight and Mount Lady and some other heroes caught up, they just see Izuku taking damage. And Izuku went back to his human form. He didn't go into his wolf form yet. And you just see Izuku getting cut. And Midnight wanted to help. She wanted to use her quirk. But she didn't know what would happen to Izuku. And he just let it happen. And when the man stopped moving, Izuku looked at him with a death stare. He says, "You know why I hate you people the most?" And he says, "What do you mean?" "I had a mother. I had my mother. She was happy as she can be, and then someone killed her with a bullet to the head." And he said, and then the man thought back if he did that, because this man's been a killer. And he thought back, and he said, "Wait, what did this woman look like?" And he said, "A woman with green hair. Long green hair." And the man was frozen, because he knew that he was the one that did that to him. And Izuku said, "By your impression, I'm guessing you're the one that did it, right?" And you just see everyone else on the sideline just frozen in terror about Izuku. Because, give me a second, I will show you what he looks like. Give me a sec. And the heroes just see off of him this red aura. And it's just this aura of blood curdling, pretty much. And when, let's say, some random hero was about to grab Izuku's shoulder and said, "Knock it off," before he even touched Izuku, it burnt him. And Izuku's eyes are just red. And then Izuku's aura just stopped. Everyone was confused. Midnight was about to go hug him for comfort, but then out of nowhere, you see Izuku scream with this red aura just spreading more around him, and his eyes are just red. He's cut. He's scratching himself with his claws, and then he said, "You are the reason why I ain't happy. You are the reason why I am not that much happy anymore, right?" And Izuku's walking towards him slowly and slow, just slow. And the man's like, "Leave me alone." And the man started using a quirk to run away, and he was like a mile away from Izuku. The man thought he could just start trying to hide now. Then when he looked in front of him again, he saw Izuku, and no one even knew that he moved. And he said, "Gotcha." And Izuku grabbed him by the face and threw him back to the heroes. And the heroes didn't even know where he came from. So, and then Izuku popped up in front of them again. Sorry, I'm doing something. If you see my phone changing battery. Anyways, and it's just this. You see Izuku, and he says, "Give me him now." Midnight finally used her quirk and said, "That's enough. That's enough." Right? And everyone's like, do you know who this is? He says, yeah, I know who it is. I'm gonna take him to the hospital. You lock him up. Got it? And Midnight called the 911 because the man was also hurt, but they treated Izuku first. So yeah. Yeah. When he got to the hospital, they called Mina's family. And Mina was in shock that Izuku found who, well, killed his mother. And everyone was pretty sad for Izuku. Right, and, sorry. Give me a second. I'm doing something with my Xbox right now. Not connecting my controller, so yeah. Here we go. Anyways, and when they got there, they signed papers, and they pretty much paid for Izuku's hospital bill. And Mina called everyone up. They all came, and they were just staring at Izuku. And it was now 2 days before. And Izuku was pretty much kind of like in a coma. And when Izuku woke up, it was a day before the entrance exam, or the first day of school. And he saw everyone was there. He said, "What's going on?" In a slight voice, and everyone yelled, "Izuku!" Right? And Midnight was there. Hold on, I'm just looking at stuff. Okay. And Midnight was there in relief that Izuku wasn't hurt at all. So yeah. And hold up. I just want to change this a little bit. And let's put him with. Anyways, what am I doing? I'm rumbling. And Izuku just pretty much made everyone was wondering. He said, "What happened?" Pretty much, right? And they explained what happened, and Izuku started crying, and everyone left him alone. You just hear him crying because he found who, well, killed his mother. And the news about Izuku attacking this villain got spreaded pretty quickly. Sorry, yeah. Hold on. Yeah, there we go. And the news about Izuku fighting the villain, like I just said, spread it pretty quickly. And Izuku was kind of dull now. And now it's the first day of school. Everyone was pretty careful with Izuku. And when he got into school, when he got in with everyone, because pretty much they all got in the same class. Right? And let's say they had extra students. Yeah, they had extra students, so they didn't have enough chairs and everything, so they said people are going to have to share a desk. And Toga and Mirko looked at each other, and they both went to see who would get to sit with Izuku. And, yeah. And let's say they both just sat next to Izuku, and some of the boys were jealous because Mirko and Toga were really beautiful girls. Right? And Midnight was kind of jealous because she had affection for Izuku. And when Izawa came in, he said, "Go get your uniforms on." Right? And Izuku that day was wearing a long sleeves because they didn't have to wear uniforms. And yes, I should say this real quick. I was bad about this in one of my other videos. Self-harm is about to be shown here, so if not, please skip a little bit for you are not hurt by anything. So yeah, and I do feel your pain. I know this. Anyways, sorry. Yeah, and when they all got down, the boys were down there, and Kirishima was by Izuku. And when Izuku changed into his gym uniform, he was trying to hide his arms. And Kirishima said, "What's wrong, Izuku?" And he said, "Come here, then." And he showed his arm, and he cut himself. And Kirishima started crying a little bit, right? And some of the other boys noticed, and they were wondering what was going on, right? And yeah, where was I? And Izuku put on his well, you know what, uniform, and let's say Jiro had her like Mineta tried to do that perf thing again, or tried to do a perf move, and Izuku was just in his wolf slash human form, right? Because now he knows how to transform into a regular just human, where he doesn't look so spotted out there. And he walked up to Mineta and said, "Don't you even dare try to peek on them," right? And let's say Midnight and Ozawa went to the locker rooms, and Ozawa and Midnight was just in there with the girls, and Ozawa didn't really go in. He just was at the door waiting for them. And Midnight said, "Oh, what are you gonna do?" And then Izuku just showed his teeth and growled a little bit. And everyone heard this, even the girls. And Ozawa didn't, because it's Ozawa, he's sleeping pretty much. So yeah. And let's say they've walked out, and Mineta was kind of shocked a little. And they said, "You." And Ozawa said, "You, boy." And he said, "Me." And Izuku said, "Yeah, what's up?" He said, "Since you had the highest points, you throw the ball first with your quirk." And Izuku said, "Okay." And Izuku transformed back into more of a wolf type human, right? And people were kind of shocked how easy it was for him. And then he said, then Izuku walked up, and he saw his hands started on fire, and you see him kind of hurt by this. And Kirishima thinks he knows what's going on, and he said, "Izuku, be careful." And he pretty much Izuku was about to let it all out, an all-out burst, and then Aizawa cut it out, canceled his quirk, and everyone was wondering why. And then Aizawa walked up to Izuku and said, "Show me your arms, please." Izuku said, "No, sir." And he said, and then Aizawa said, "Midnight, can you use your gas on him real quick?" And she said, "Yeah, sure." And Midnight used her quirk, and Izuku went out for about a minute. But in that minute, Aizawa pulled down his sleeves and saw what it was. He saw his arms were cut. Right? And Mirko and Toga and Midnight were just in shock. So was Mina and the rest of his class. Bakugo didn't care. Some kids didn't care about it at all. But they were hurt the most, really. And Izuku woke up and he said, "What happened?" And then he noticed his arms were shown. And he said, "Can I throw the ball now?" And Aizawa said, "Sure, just if you try to do that again, just don't do it with a full burst, would you?" And Midoriya said, "Sure." And Midoriya didn't really listen. He did this exact same stance, and you saw fire coming from his hand, and it was bigger, and you didn't see Izuku hurt anymore. It was just anger, and then you just hear him scream or roar pretty much, and you didn't hear the ball thrown, and and everyone was confused because no one heard the ball get thrown or like any shockwave with it, and then out of nowhere you hear a humongous boom, and it was just a big boom. And everyone said he broke the sound barrier, didn't he? And he pretty much he had the second highest score. The chocolate got infinite it. I said this once. Bullshit on that. So yeah. Hold on, give me a second. I gotta pop my neck. There we go. Anyways, where was I? Give me a sec. Yeah. And everyone did it, and when they got to a running part, Edith thought he was gonna win. Right? And it was pretty much like a class it was the class, all the class running together. And Ida was about to just go all out on it. And Izuku transformed into a dire wolf. Not into his strong dire wolf, but into his speed dire wolf. Izuku got into his stance, and when Midnight said go, you see everyone started running. Ida was in first, and when you looked, you saw Deku was in the back. And then when you look away, you see Izuku's in front. And they still look back, and he's still there. And then all of a sudden he's gone. It was like a blur. And you see this fire behind him, still running. Right? So yeah, and he was done in seconds. It took everyone else It took like another 2 minutes to finish up. So yeah. And God, dude, my neck. Anyways, and when they did a grip, Izuku broke it. And some people thought about All Might. And some people think that's All Might's quirk. But they said no, it can't because it's a wolf type thing. Right? So yeah. And hold on. The same. Sorry. Anyways, where was I? Crap. And let's say, since it's like a college, they all got done with pretty much all of their exams or tests, and Mineta got expelled. And Izuku said, "Sir." He said, "Yes." He said, "Yes, Izuku." He said, "How is this fair?" And everyone was pretty shocked that most of the boys were shocked that he was standing up for Mineta. Right? And, it's always like, well, he got the lowest score. Well, it's because his quirk isn't really that good in any of these things that you just gave us. Maybe with the brute stanks, he could have done something better, or with his running and his jumping, but the ball throw, hard to do if your quirk is a sticky type thing. Like with the bounce side to side, he won that one fair and square. Right? So I don't get how he gets expelled by this. And Zawa was pretty much just in shock that this boy was telling him how this worked, right? And Mirko and Toga and Midnight were just still blushing about Izuku. right? And some of the boys noticed, and some were kind of pissed about it, right? Let's say, like, no, not Kaminari. Let's say, let's do, actually, yeah, Kaminari, no, yeah, Kaminari, Ida, and Uraka were kind of pissed off about this. Because Uraka wanted Deku for the money, right? And then those two boys for Toga, Mirko. So yeah. Oh yeah, that's good. Anyways, I'm just listening to music while I do this video. Anyways, oh wow, I've been doing this for 30 minutes, guys. So, where was I? And when they were done, they started heading out. Because pretty much that was the end of that class, and it was lunch. And he sat down with his group, and the teachers could sit with their students, and Midnight sat with them. Right? And then Midnight brought up the topic, when did you do it? And Izuku said, what do you mean? With a smile, and she said, when did you do it, Izuku? Your arms. When did you do that? Then Izuku was quiet. He said, I did it this morning. And Midnight said, I thought you did. Here. And she gave him bandages. Please wrap it up and don't do it again. And he said, yeah. And Izuku, and pretty much they got like a free period. And Izuku knew that there's a pool, and he just wanted to see what he could do in the pool. Because he hasn't really tried anything like that with his quirk. And he noticed that when he was in any of his forms, he was not really that fast in the water. So yeah. And Izuku was thinking, what could he do to be faster in the water? Right? And he's thinking about that, and then let's say Ida, Kaminari, and Ochako come out. And Ochako was talking to, and they were kind of in their own swimsuits, in a way. Or, no, they were in swimsuits. And it's like yeah. Sorry. And they see Izuku shirtless and just with trunks on, right? And let's say Kirishima and them were getting dressed, so they didn't know what was going on. And Ida, Kaminari, and Ochako said, so, with your arm, what's up with that, buddy? Right? Like, they didn't really care about it. And Izuku said, it's my business, I don't have to tell you at all. And Izuku was just trying to keep it calm. He didn't want to mess around with people. Right? And he said, and then he said again, so, you're not going to tell us or what? And he said, it's my business. It doesn't matter if you guys get to know or not. Right? And then Ida said, well, I feel like it does since we're all classmates, right? You could trust us. We're going to all be heroes one day. And Izuku says, well, sure. Izuku says, that's true, but I don't have my trust with you at all. Right? And finally, Mirko, Toga, and Kirishima and Mina come out, finally. And they're in their swimsuits. And Kirishima says, so what you're doing? Right? And they had to get supervised, so let's say Midnight came out with Ozawa to supervise them. And Izuku said, well, I'm trying to think what I could do with this, with my quirks to help me swim faster in the water, because there might be some situations where a villain, right, and he pretty much explains what could happen, right, and they were like, oh, never really thought about it like that. And Mirko's like, I should probably train about that too. And then he says, well, I think you'd be good, because if you had to swim towards someone, you just have to use your legs for high kicks to get there faster. And she's like, oh, I see. Right. She said, nice. And then Izuku, I'm gonna give this power to him because the wolf in the image that you see and the other from last video. Hold on, pop in my neck again. Damn, neck hurts like a bitch. God, no idea why my neck hurts so much today. So yeah, where was I? And Izuku all of a sudden, when he was in his wolf form, in any of his dire forms, sorry, I have hiccups and burps, excuse me, and pretty much Izuku started floating, and he didn't notice. He thought he was still touching the ground, because when he touched the air, it feels like he just touches the ground, right? And everyone said, hey, you don't need to swim. He's like, what do you mean? And Mirko says, well, you're floating. And Izuku says, what? And he transformed into his human / wolf form. And he was just levitating pretty much. Hold on, gonna take a drink again. Okay, good. Good. Okay. Anyways, where was I? Yeah, pretty much that happened. And Izuku was pretty much, the free period was over, and Izuku had to go to a different class. He had to go to the support class pretty much to try to make something or whatever. Doesn't really matter what he had to do. And when he was in there, let's say some people came in to see if they could get upgrades on their quirks and stuff, right? And Izuku said, okay, so what's your quirk? And Mei was over there trying to, well, do whatever, you know? And let's say one kid, let's say it was Kendo. And Kendo says, I'm trying to, no, not Kendo. Let's say it was, give me a sec, I'm trying to think. Who it could be. Let's go with, okay. Hold on, give me a second. Sorry about that. Let's say, I'm trying to think which kid I could put in here. Let's see, let's do, trying to think of the students. Let's say the girl that had vines for hair. She said, well, I want to improve my vines by a little bit. And he's like, so what are you going for? Right? Because they haven't made their costumes yet. And that's what they're pretty much everyone's assignment's supposed to be. She's like, well, she shows him like a little blueprints about it, right? And he's like, I see. Right? And he goes, okay, well, and he made up something real quick, and he said, here. And I just remembered that Mirko and Toga also said that they would go, because they all got good at it. And Toga and Mirko were just helping Deku, so they were like little assistants, pretty much. Alright, and he's like, is this good? And she said, yeah, that's pretty good, thank you. And he said, yeah, if you need anything on your costume or anything, please come back and I'll help you out with her and them. And she said, yes, thank you, and bowed down pretty much, right? So yeah. And that was the end of that class. And pretty much now, Deku went to All Might's class, or the attack, whatever you want to call it. But this time, they said since, and pretty much everyone's in the same class for this one now. And Izuku said, and All Might said, well, since you had the highest score, young Midoriya, he said, yeah, you will have to kind of go against a lot of people. We're going to do a tournament. And everyone's like, wait, a tournament? What do you mean by this? And, well, we're going to do kind of a team versus team type thing. It's like a knockout type thing, right? And, yeah. Pretty much, it was Izuku's friend group versus everyone else, because they had pretty good scores, and they noticed how well they worked together, so they wanted to see how well their teamwork could go against every other kid in the school, pretty much. So yeah, just the normal stuff. You know, the things that you do every day in the UA. And they're all ready, and and he's like, we won't begin this, though, right now. And they're like, wait, what do you mean? Because he said, you guys need costumes, and you have not made them. And then Divine Girl said, oh, I did already. And he said, okay, that's good to know. Right? And some people said, well, I already have. So yeah, that happened. And Izuku was not one of those kids that haven't made a costume. So, give me a second. I'm going to pull up a costume that he'll probably have. Give me a sec. Okay, so this is what Izuku's costume is going to be. And Izuku just, pretty much everyone just made up a costume real quick. Because, let's say that one of the classes did that, okay? Because, why the hell not? And All Might's like, okay. And people notice Izuku's. It's like, huh, wonder what's up with that. And Izuku was ready for this. And they said, Izuku's team will be the heroes. Everyone else will be villains, pretty much. Right? And the kids were all ready to go. And All Might pretty much was waiting for them all. And this was the last class, so pretty much all the teachers came down, right? To see how these kids would do against pretty much about 30-ish kids. Right? Or so. Because everyone else in their other classes already left. Because I know this isn't... Because I'm pretty sure there's a hell of a lot of kids in UA. So yeah. And All Might was still looking for a successor. And let's say the big three were there. Nejire and all them. Tamaki and Mirio, if I'm right. So yeah. And when All Might on the speaker said go, pretty much Bakugo was after them. And they didn't run in all the way because they wanted to think about this. And pretty much everyone had their costumes how they were. And Toga, hold up, I'll show you what Toga's costume because I feel like that's pretty important. Give me a second. Okay, so I could not find what it was. So yeah, I'm kind of mad about that, but who cares? Anyways, let's go back to an image. There we go. And pretty much, she just wore what she usually does as a villain. So some people are thinking of her as a villain already. Just so you know. So yeah. And yeah. And he sent out a dire wolf. He said, go look for where. Because it was pretty much like the same bomb thing, but it was a bigger place. He said, look for the bomb. Go. Right? And he ran off. And Izuku's dire wolf found it. He said, I found it, master. But I did get spotted. He said, good. Run back. He said, come back. Right? And he said, so where is it? Right? And he said, well, it's on, let's say it's like in a distant area. It's like 5 miles in a different area. Because I can't put them inside a building. That would be way too chaotic, pretty much. So, yeah. And let's say one kid on the other team, let's say they were all planning, and Ida said I could probably catch up with them with speed, right? He was saying that, and Izuku and like all of them pretty much were kind of agreeing with Ida with that. And then all you hear for a quick second is how you hear these howls, and then you hear, and then they look in front and they see what it is, and it's like it's 40 dire wolves, and Izuku, not messing around, he's in his good, like, strongest form, and it's the form that you saw it's pretty much this form, right? And Izuku is like floating again above everyone with Toga and all of them on his back, right? And he says, "Attack! If help, if you need help, work together." Right? They're just saying work together, and they're like, "Okay, okay." And the wolves start attacking, and the students start attacking the wolves now. And some of the Tempest and Ryu, if you remember them, they sticked by Izuku, because those two were like their strongest in their pack, and they had elements and everything, and people noticed that their elements and all that. So yeah, and where was I? Hold on, give me a sec. Let me refresh my mind. So yeah, they all started attacking, and Izuku came with them, and they tried to get to the bomb right away. But let's say that some of the teachers had to act like civilians, and then Izuku noticed this, and Izuku said he sent out Tempest to help them, and so as Ryu. And Hiroshima said, "I'll go with them," and so did Mina. They all ran off, and now it's just Izuku and, the two girls. Two girls. And Kaminari went for a shot, right? He went to shoot at Izuku with his electricity. And let's say one of the wolves could control electricity, and they just took it away from him and zapped another student. And let's say Tetsu was going for attacks, and let's say the civilians pretty much all the civilians now are gone, are in safe spaces, and Tetsu was about to attack, let's say was about to attack, let's say he was about to attack Tempest, and that Hiroshima caught it, and now it looks like it's an all-out war against students now, and the wolves. And Izuku started walking closer, and you see his fire not growing yet. Then, when Todoroki started using his ice, Deku knew that Todoroki had a fire ability, and he said so. But Bakugo was starting to use the explosions on the wolves, and the wolves were taking damage now from this, right? And Izuku's fire was just growing. And then he said, "Retreat all," and everyone just retreated. And he made sure that his pack was pretty much safe, right? Was not so severely damaged. And some were just hurt a little bit. Some were actually just hurt badly. And Deku was not taking that. He was mad about that. And then he looked at Bakugo and said, "Oh," and he said, "Run if you want," right? And everyone was pretty much getting ready to fight again. They all got into a fighting stance and got ready, right? And then you see it in Izuku that he went back into a human and wolf's form, right? And then out of nowhere, like, his costume pretty much ripped, so now he's shirtless, but his pants are still on and everything, right? And you see Izuku just put music in, and now he's just listening to music to watch and get ready to
right? And he said, Mirko, he said, you guys cover me? And they said, yeah, we're with you to the end. Okay? And he says, good. And all you see is Izuku for a split second with fire behind him. And then now you just see Izuku behind the people, taking them out left and right. And Tetsu was fighting with Kirishima and some others, because Kirishima was holding himself up against multiple people, dodging and attacking them at the exact same time. Mirko was bouncing between people by jumping on them. Toga had like pretty much she got some blood out and used them as like batons, I guess. Yeah, and started hitting kids. Mina used her acid, of course. So yeah, and Zuku was having fun. He's smiling about this, and everyone noticed this. And Bakugo was getting pissed more about it. And then you see, Kaminari and Ida and Uraka going for Toga. Well, you see Uraka going for Toga and, Mirko at once. And then you see Kaminari and Ida going for them. And everyone kind of knows that these guys are very strong. Uraka is actually strong in this one, like strongish, or strong enough, right? So yeah. And they were just at it. And let's say when Uraka tried to drop something on Mirko's leg, Mirko was hurt. So she was she couldn't fight right then and there. She was trying to recover. Izuku sent off like 3 wolves to protect her, but Ochaku tried to go for another hit with them, right? And some other kids tried to also with that. And Izuku was not happy with that. Toga was trying to protect them, and they noticed that the timer they had like let's say they had 3 hours, right? And it's been an hour, and they notice that they're not really getting through between these guys, and Izuku is worrying about this. He's trying to get up there, move faster, and everything. And when Toga got hit by, let's say, by someone, she was kind of bleeding by it. And Kirishima and Mina grouped up with them trying to fight everyone off, while Izuku was trying to get to them to help them out. But Ida and Kaminari and other kids are on them. And let's say Momo made the cannons like she did in the anime, right? In the anime, and she was attacking Izuku, and right, and the cannons are hitting him, and out of nowhere, Izuku said, "I didn't want to do this, but sorry, you guys." He said, "Black lightning," and it wasn't a very strong version of it, and when it hit down on people, it just started shocking everyone in the area except for his group. Right, and now let's say there was like, if you put it on a percentage, there was 100% of the enemy team. Now there's 25, and everyone was just in shock. The heroes were in shock about this, and then you see Izuku not messing around anymore now, and he went back into his this form that you see on the screen. He said, "I should stop messing around now, huh?" And everyone's like, wait, he was messing around? And then Izuku, you see him again for Blair, and he just taking out people again over and over. And now the leftovers are just Class 1A and Class 1B, right? And Kirishima is trying to help the girls over there, trying to help the girls so much, but Tetsu's just on him, so with other people. And let's say Monoma copied, let's say he copied. Should I make him copy Deku's? Let's say he copied Mina's acid, and he was kind of burning Kirishima, and Izuku was not liking this at all. So he finally got to his group, and he looked at Tetsu for a split second, and then he looked at Monoma, and Monoma didn't care. Wasn't really paying attention, and Monoma out of nowhere got attacked by Izuku by just a punch. Monoma was out. Tetsu looked, and he saw Izuku, and then he saw Izuku again, and it looked like Izuku. There's multiple Izukus everywhere, and they were attacking. Right, and the real Izuku finally took out Tetsu and Class 1B. Now it's the rest of Class 1A. And Izuku said, "Is everyone okay over here?" And now let's say it was been 2 hours. Now they have an hour left. And they're getting closer to the bomb. Right? And let's say the villain team could call in one of the heroes, right, to help them. And they called in Ozawa. Right, and Ozawa erased all of their quirks. And Izuku looked at him, and he said, "You could erase all of our quirks, but you can't erase one thing." And he said, "What's that?" Right? He said, "You can't erase my pack." And then he said, "Wait, what?" And out of nowhere, you see these wolves come out. He's like, "You can't erase my wolf. It's a mutated quirk." And you can't erase part of me. And you see the wolves come out. He's like, "I'm not as strong as I want to be right now, but I could attack." And you see Izuku for a split second again, and he's on Izawa now, because now no one else could use their quirks, but Kirishima is strong, so he has to defend for the girls, and Mirko's hurt still, right? And Toga's trying to get her out, but Class 1A is just focusing on them. And let's say they called in the big three to help. Also, no, not right now. Let's say Nejuri was wanting to help so bad for Mirko, right? She wanted to help. And Midnight said, "We can't let you help. It's not your class. In your second year, you know that." And Nejuri said, "Well, I want to help them though. Look at them." Right? And pretty much, let's say Tokiyami is trying to attack, right? Was trying to attack them. And Izuku was just on Ozawa. He finally got Ozawa pinned. Right? And what did I just say? Hold up, I'm trying to remember. And yeah. And Toga got hit down hard by Tokiyami, right? And Deku noticed this, and Deku sent out wolves to help to get Mirko out, and so as Toga. He pretty much sent out wolves to take them all out, because they were all exhausted. And Kirishima said, "No, let us help still," right? And he's just bleeding from his arms and everything. And he said, "Sorry." And the wolves took him off, pretty much dragging them now. Right? And Izuku looked back at them, and he was on his phone and selected a song. And if the song I'm thinking about is called Outside, so if you want to look that up. And Izuku was pretty much ready. He said, "That's enough." And he took out Tokiyami quickly. And the wolves wanted to help. He said, "Sir, let us help." And he said, "No. Protect everyone else and protect the civilians." And All Might was thinking, he's been fighting for such a while, and he's exhausted, but he still doesn't worry about himself, right? He's saying this out loud from the observation area, and everyone's agreeing with this, and then they see Izuku, right, with different elements around him now. They see him with darkness, black light, lightning, ice, water, pretty much a lot of elements around him. And then Izuku said, let's take them all out with one blow, try to. And Izuku said, hell flame. And you just see him on fire now. And you can see his cuts, though. And this is burning his cuts. And you just see him in agony, kind of. You see him in agony a little bit with this. And it just hurts him. But he wants to win. And All Might's like, wait, what happened to him? And Midnight sadly explained to everyone that what happened. And they were just trying to go at it still. And Izuku finally got to the bomb, breathing hard. And there was only 10 minutes left, right? And he touched the bomb, and All Might said, the winners are a hero team, and everyone's beat, right? And they're just all tired. And when they all try to say good game to Izuku, right? Because most of everyone pretty much regained their consciousness, right? Pretty much, they looked at Izuku, and he's knocked out now, right? He's knocked out now. And Izuku, everyone just saw him. All Might went to go help the injured, so as pretty much all the teachers went to go get the injured, and Midnight went to go help Izuku. And when she went to go help Izuku, she noticed that his cuts are bleeding badly. And she said, Recovery Girl, we need you over here now, right? And she screamed this out, and people saw that he's bleeding badly. And some people are just holding their stomachs because they got punched in the stomach by Izuku, right? And Izuku, they just see Izuku's cuts are recovering by itself somehow. And All Might is just in shock. He thinks a little bit that he's working for All for One, but then he thought, if he was working for All for One, why would he be helping them so much, right? And focusing on other people. And then he says, no, that's not possible. He scrapped the idea now. And Izuku was in Recovery Girl's like, wow, he is very strong still. And Izuku regained consciousness and started walking to everyone, to his team. And he said, like he is wobbling. And some people and his wolves are trying to help him, but he says, just stay in, guys. Right? And he's just wobbling towards them. And they just see him. And everyone just sees how dedicated he is to get to his team. And when he finally got there, he collapsed onto his knees and he said, are you guys okay? And then he looked at the civilians and he says, is anyone hurt at all? Right? And they say, no, we're good. And let's say one of them, to see what he would do, said, it's my leg is broken, I think. Right? And he says, okay. He gets back up on his feet and picked up that, let's say it was a Nezu that said that, right? Because Nezu was there also. He picked up Nezu and took him to Recovery Girl and told him what happened. And told her what happened. And Nezu says, good job, Midoriya. And then when you looked into Midoriya, he's actually passed out. He's doing this on consciousness. And everyone was, and All Might and everyone was just in shock of how badly this boy wants to become a hero. Right? And yeah, they all take home, and they all were thinking about a dorm system, but they didn't know if they should do that yet. And that was the end of day 1. No, let's say That was like 3 days. Okay, yeah, that was a 3-day event thing. Okay. Hey, this is my longest video I've made. Hold on, give me a second. I'm going for probably a 2-hour video. Why not? Give me a second. Honestly, I might go for a 3-hour video because I kind of want to. I'm pretty bored. What up? Oh god, no. My phone almost dropped. Anyways. And they pretty much were talking about it, and they said, okay, we're going to do a dorm system thing. And, hold on. Oh no, I don't want to run over that. Okay, sorry, I was about to run over my chargers. Anyways, they thought about, and they pretty much told the students that they were going to do that. And the students were all happy, and then Izuku's like, come on. And they're like, wait, you don't want to live here? And he says, no, I do, but now I have to sell my apartment and move everything out of it. And everyone's like, wait, how are you worrying about that when you're literally hurt? Right? Because now Izuku has bruises from all of the shots that he took from Momo and everything. He's like, wait, what do you mean? Right? And he looks at himself and he's like, oh god, I'm also shirtless. Right? And Izuku's pretty, well, strong and muscular. And so a lot of the girls were blushing about it and stuff like that. And yeah. Let's make this a long video for your guys' treat. Sorry. Anyways, where was I? Trying to remember. Oh yeah, and Izuku pretty much let everyone know about what happened, and now Ida and Kaminari know. And Izuku just kind of wanted to chillax, and they got like a 3-day break because how damaged everyone was from them fighting each other. And the teachers all know, let's say all the teachers had a meeting about their students, right? And they all said, well, we know that we had a good group of students. And Nezu says, well, yes, we do. That boy, though, should we talk about him real quick? And he was like, wait, what do you want to talk about him? He says, well, this boy is special. I feel like, you see how determined he was, right? And everyone said, yeah, he was pretty determined. And he said, well, if he's that determined, how do you think there's a villain out there that will be that determined to, well, you know, right? And everyone thought about that for a second. Then they said, well, hopefully not. And then Nezu brought up, well, if so, we cannot let him become a villain. And everyone's like, wait, why? You saw how strong he was and how much students he took out with that one attack. And then let's say Snipe, the teacher there, Snipe, said, I wonder why he didn't use that again on the rest. And Nezu said, well, then he said, I'm not that. Well, did you not hear him? He said, I'm good. I'm done messing around. And then he said, oh yeah. Then Snipe just remembered that. And pretty much they were just talking about the students. And let's say it's been a week now. And they finally hold up, give me a second. They finally moved in. And Izuku's still hurt, right? So he always has like a wolf. He has like Tempest near him always, right? And Tempest is like, Master, are you okay? And he says, yeah, just very bruised, right? And let's say he moved in everything, and everyone's like, everyone said we should do a room contest thing, right? And they did. Everyone had the exact same rooms except for some kids. Then I'm going to add some kids in. Right? And since class 1B and other students are mixed together. So yeah. They did it. And when they got to Izuku's dorm, they saw that he had a mini fridge, a TV built into the wall, and then he has a katana in there. And they said, wait, why do you have a katana? He says, well, I got permission to use it. And I'm going to start training with it. And everyone's like, wait, really? Right? And some kids are frightened by this. And some kids know that Izuku's probably the strongest kid here, but they didn't want to say that in front of other strong students. Right? And, yeah. And where was I? And when they went to Miriko's, it was kind of, it had a hoodie in there. Well, it's pretty much, it had like rabbits and carrots kind of around, right? And Toga's was interesting, they think, because Toga had a photo of Izuku and then a photo of the whole group. And Miriko noticed this, and she's like, and Miriko was talking to Toga about this. And she said, so, do you like Izuku? And Toga said, yes, I do. What about you? And Miriko says, yes. Right, with confidence. And they're in in the living room, and Izuku's not in there. He's outside training with a sword. Right? Pretty much Izuku's gonna look like Ryumyu. I can't say his name. Ryumyu. Yeah, Ryumyu, whatever his name is. Right? He's gonna have blue hair, because, no. He's just gonna look like himself, but has a little longer. Here, I'll show you. Give me a second. So, he's gonna change his hero costume to this, right? He's gonna have the katana back there, and his hair is gonna be shorter, right? It's gonna look like, let me think about it. It's gonna kind of look like, no, it's just gonna stay the same. Here, yeah, it's just gonna look like the same, but this is what his costume's gonna be, I guess. So yeah. And Izuku's just training outside with a katana, right? And Izuku's is just exhausted though, but he wants to keep training himself. And let's say Midnight was also there, because they also moved their own stuff in, right? Because there's teachers in charge of the girls' dorm and teachers in charge of the boys' dorm, right? And some teachers know that Izuku's as strong as a pro hero, right? And they just don't know what to do, really. So yeah. And let's say when Izuku, and it's like nighttime, let's say, and it's like, they got like, it's the weekend, yeah, I don't know why I couldn't think of that. It was the nighttime now, and, hold up, okay, and, hold on, give me a second, I'm trying to remember. Yeah, and the Midnight came to talk to Izuku about something, and Izuku said, yes, Midnight, and he said, well, you know how I've kind of been near you a lot, right? And he said, yeah, what's up? And he's like, yeah, what's up, though? He's like, yeah, why, though? Right, he doesn't really ask, like, He's just kind of focused on swinging a wooden katana. And she says, Izuku, is it okay if I, date you? And Izuku stopped swinging, and he said, what? Sorry, I couldn't hear you. Can you say that again? And Midnight said, can I date you? Right. And Izuku was frozen. And he knew that it was okay for them to be in a relationship. Right. And he said, sure, it'll be nice. And then then Midnight said, well, there's two other people that would like to join the relationship, if that's okay with you. He says, oh, sure, who? And she says, Mirko and Toga. And Izuku froze, and he's like, really? I never knew that. He's like, and she said, are you actually serious? And he said, yeah, why? They've been liking you for a while. And he's like, oh, I see. Right? And when Toga and Mirko went to go talk to him, and he said, so, you guys like me? Right? And they said, yeah, how did you know? Because didn't you want to date me? And they said, yeah, we are going to ask you. And then then he said, well, Midnight already told me that you guys wanted to join the relationship with me and her and you guys. So, yeah. Right? And he pretty much just kissed their foreheads and said, well, I'm going to take a shower and probably eat something. Right? And Toga, Midnight, and Mirko were just frozen about that. They're just shocked what just happened. Right? No, me. Sorry. And he was just, and they were just shocked. And say some kids saw that, and some kids saw that he kissed Midnight's forehead. Right? And that kind of spread it quickly. Right? They didn't want to spread it. No, it didn't spread that. It didn't even spread. They didn't want to piss off Izuku unless they gave him permission. And they knew it was an okay rule with that. Right? And they're just letting him pretty much do whatever he wants. And when he was done taking a shower, you see him you just see his hair wet, and he walked out shirtless, right? And he was still drying off his hair. And Izuku said, I kind of want to try this new hairstyle. Yes, I'm making him look like Rimuru now. Yeah. And let's say they haven't done the UA or the USJ. It's been like a little while. Let's say they've done class for a long time. It's been a month since they've done class. And Zuku's grown his hair like this and dyed it blue. And naturally, no. Never mind. I take that back. But it's been a while. It's been like a month since school. Right? It's just been a month. And Izuku was getting stronger. And everyone knows this now. So. And let's say it's always told them that they were going to the USJ. Right? And let's say a new kid came in. But this new kid's going to class 1B. And this new kid is... I'm trying to remember their name. Give me a sec. Okay, good. I'm back. And this guy joins. I hate this guy so much. He's such a dickhead. I don't like him at all. I fucking hate him. I'm just gonna call him Shondo. Yeah. And he joined pretty much the classes now. And let's say they were thinking, UA was thinking about adding schools, like merging schools together with, well, the other schools. They were thinking about it, and they said, okay, let's try this out for once. And they told the students what might happen. And some of the students were happy about this, and some of the others weren't. Right? And Izuku didn't really care. He's just been hanging out with all the girls lately. Right? And also his friend group. And let's say they were training one day, and Shundo, right, was talking to Izuku about, well, Mirko. And Deku wanted to say that Mirko was dating him. And then Shindo said she's hot, right? And then that's when Izuku snapped. And he said, well, she's my girlfriend, though. And he's like, wait, really? I thought you were dating that Toga girl and the teacher, I guess. Well, and then he said, well, I'm also dating Mirko. Right? So, yeah. And, yeah. And let's say Shundo was kind of pissed about this, and he didn't want to show it. Hold up, give me a second. Part two. Wait, what? Oh, that was the Demon King. Okay, sorry, I had to look at that. Something shady. And let's say Izuku. I'm giving Izuku like a lot of talents because why hell not? Right, and they said that they had a week before the USJ, and since all the classes are merging, since all the classes pretty much merge together, right? There's gonna be a lot of villains for this USJ attack, dude. Like you'll see. And Izuku's noticed that the wolves there's been more wolves, so he summoned them all, and when people saw how many wolves came out of his shadow, they were just in shock, right? And there was like, let's say now 100 wolves. And Izuku's like, huh, good. This is going to be overkill if I use you all on one person. But if they're very strong, it's going to be worth it. Right? And Izuku's been kind of getting into music. Like, because he knows how to play a guitar and everything now. It's just a little passive thing I'm giving him. Sorry, I'm just listening to music. Cool. Sorry, it's a good song I'm listening to. Anyways. Hold on, give me a sec. And let's say one day, no, a day before, what is it? The day before USJ, right? He was walking with Mirko and them. And Midnight was also with them. And he wanted to take them out for lunch. Right? And when they were eating lunch, Izuku, they got, let's say people with guns came in and was pretty much keeping them as hostage. And Midnight was about to use her quirk on them, but then Izuku said, don't. It might hurt someone. Right? And DLP. Sorry. Anyways, and let's say the police started surrounding and some of the other teachers around. And let's say one of the kids want let's say one of the robbers or whatever was trying to touch Mirko. Right? And Izuku had enough with this. So he said, that's it. Hold on. He said, that's it. Right? And he stood up and they said, sit down. And there's, let's say, 20 of them. And he said, that's it. And you see him start transforming. Right? And he transformed into, well, his werewolf version form. Now, hold up. I want him to go back to his wolf form. I like the wolf. Where's his wolf? Oh, shit. Never. Hold on. Let me get rid of this red aura and go back to the wolf. He's my favorite. I like that character a lot in that anime. There we go.
What am I supposed to call him? I forgot his name. Don't judge me. Tempest Star, are you fucking serious?
Or whatever.
Doesn't matter.
And Izuku got out his katana and, well, it was a wooden one, because hasn't got full-on license yet, right? And pretty much, he just took out all of them except for one. And let's say that one person was shot a bullet and it was about to hit Mirko, right? And Izuku got in front of it and took it to him. And it shot him in the chest. And everything just stopped for him. Or not stopped, but everything just stopped. He couldn't hear he was just frozen. And Mirko and all of them were, and Izuku isn't immune to bullets, you know. Like, he just fell. He fell down and was starting bleeding, right? And Mirko is around him, trying to say, Izuku, please, Izuku. And the wolves came out and they attacked the man. And the man was starting to ran out. And the police tried to obtain him, but he was running. And then the wolves, all 100 of them, were chasing the man. They jumped on the man and they were just growling at him, biting at him, throwing him around pretty much. And the heroes were trying to stop them. And then Ryu yelled, Tempest, get them off now. Go to Master. Right? And then they all ran to Izuku again. They didn't know who the Master was, so they captured the man and put him in custody. Then they ran inside to see what was going on. And they see Izuku bleeding on the ground. Midnight was trying to get the bullet, was trying to help him. Right? And just trying to help. Kirishima was asked for if they had any kits or anything first aid, and they were trying to help him. And the wolves were like, they didn't know what to do, and they were just dumbfounded pretty much, right? And and the ambulance got him. They put him in, and they put him pretty much in the, well, you know what, in the ambulance and took him to the hospital. And Izawa was one of the teachers, and he saw them crying for Izuku, and Izawa went with Izuku, right? And yeah. And they all went to the dorms, and everyone's like, wait, wasn't Izuku with you? And some kids were talking about that shooting, or the shooting, whatever happened. And, or the hostage situation, and then, let's say, Kendo, because Kendo is a good friend to Izuku, said, wait, don't tell me the only person that got hurt there was. And then some people started connecting them, and then people started freezing up. They didn't know what to do. And let's say Ida didn't know what was going on. He said, what? I don't know what's happening. Then they said, Izuku, you know, on the news they said 1 casualty, right? And he said, yeah. They went to that cafe. Izuku didn't come with them, right? And then he said, and Ida finally, they were just all frozen. They didn't know what to do. And then, let's say Izawa came back, and he said,
the USJ were still doing, Izuku would be back and the day before, by a week, 3 days before, right? He is hurt and they are doing surgery right now. And everyone's like, wait, surgery? Wait, what happened? And then he explains, well, he got shot in his chest and they have to take out the bullet. And they say, oh, I see. Right? And let's say that Toga, pretty much all the girls went to Izuku's room. They got him they chose a pair of clothes for him when he gets out. Because they're going to be there when he gets discharged from the hospital. Right? And Izuku, and let's say the day before he gets discharged, he has consciousness, but he just doesn't know what to do. He's not with any of his friends. His mom's not there. The only people that visit him so far are, well, just Zawa and Almay and Nezu. He doesn't know why his girlfriends haven't visited him yet, though. He's just confused. And the day he got discharged, he sees the girls again. And he sees how strong they've gotten. Because they look stronger. And you could feel it, too. And, yeah. And, where was I? Yeah. And they all see him, and Izuku smiles when he sees the girls, because all the girls have a hoodie of one of his hoodies and stuff. He said in a happy voice, because let's say a lot of the Class 1A and Class 1B were there also, and he said, did you guys go into my room without my permission? And they said yes. And they brought him a pair of clothes where he could get dressed and everything. And he said, thanks, you guys. I'm gonna get dressed and then we could leave, okay? And they all were happy about it. And now, since, let's say, a day now before, well, you know what, whatever it's called, sorry, hiccups, before before, USJ, yeah. And, yeah, pretty much. The USJ, and the day before, Izuku caught up with all of his work, and then you see him working out, but you could tell that he's not going out full out, right? And they said, why aren't you training as hard as you can? He said, I don't want to push myself right now, just in case, you know? And he like, oh, that makes sense. So yeah. And now, the USJ. The USJ was something. And when they were going, right, the USJ, when, hold up, give me a sec. I need to take a drink. Give me a sec. Okay, sorry. And when they were in there, they were talking, and it's like a big bus, so they could all talk about pretty much all the students were in there. No, they took 3 separate buses, yeah. But Class 1B and Class 1A were in the exact same bus. So they were just talking about what their quirks were and everything. And when they got to Izuku, they said, "So what is your quirk, Izuku?" He says, "Well, my 2 quirks are," and they say, "Wait, 2?" Right? And he says, "Yeah, why?" And he says, "Oh, well, we just thought it was just one quirk." He says, "Well, my first quirk is called, well, as you could think it is, it's called wolf." Right. And everyone's like, "Nice, what's your other one?" He says, "Well, my other one's called hailfire." And he said, "Nice, not bad." Right. And they're like, "Okay." And when they got there, everyone got out and they explained what was going on. And Toga and Mirko were just sitting by Izuku, but Midnight was kind of jealous because she couldn't sit by Izuku like them. Right? And I'm giving a sec. Give me a sec, I'm trying to remember something. Okay, there we go. And when they got in, 13 was talking about everything. And Izuku, out of nowhere, said, "Something's here." And they say, "What do you mean?" And they say, "Well, there's an aura. I just don't know what it is fully." Right? And then they look, and he says, "Portal." And they look at the whatever, where the portal came. In the portal, they just see the purple portal, and there's multiple. And the purple portal summoned about 600. Yeah, 600. Well, you know what? 600 villains. And there is, let's say, 4 teachers, right? And 32 students. No, 52 students. No, just 50 students, right? And let's say the big 3 were also there, so 53, let's say. Right, so let me think, hold on. If there's 4 students, 53, 55, 57. Okay, so there's 157 of them against 600. And the 100 came from, well, the 100 wolves. So, yeah. And, yeah. I'm going to keep going. Trying to make it to a 2-hour video. Anyways, sorry, I was doing something. And Kodagiri, I don't know, just teleported everyone in time before they reacted. And the students also got out in time. Right. Or the students got teleported as pretty much the same groups, but there's multiple, and the USJ was bigger. And Izuku was by himself, pretty much. And he summoned Ryu, Tempest, and a new wolf, and we're gonna call him Zoro,
because I like Zoro. And I'm very dumb by making names. Right? Because literally, Ryu and Tempest is, well, Tempest is from this guy, and then Ryu, or Ryumi, or whatever. So yeah. And he summoned Zoro to protect Midnight. No, not Midnight. Not Zoro. I can't. It sounds weird when I say that. Usopp? No. Chomps. Yeah, we're gonna call him Chomps. And he summons Usopp. Not Usopp. God damn it. He summons Tempest, Ryu, Ryu and Chomps to protect Midnight, Mirko, and Doga. And they ran to go protect them. And Izuku didn't get teleported, really. He was just right beside... He was pretty much got teleported in the middle of all the villains. And Izawa and Midnight were... And the 4 other teachers were starting to fight. Right? And the wolf said, Master, she's here. We can still protect? And he says, yes, protect her no matter what. Right? And Izuku knows this is serious. So he doesn't want to mess around as much. He says, since this is a serious threat, I won't mess around that much. And everyone looked at him, and they said, and one of the guys said, get the kid now! And then he summoned all the rest of the wolves, and he said, attack. Right, and the wolves start attacking with their elements and everything. And Izuku's just has his katana, his wooden katana, because he's not using a real one. He just has a real one in his room, just why not? He has a wooden katana, and he's just taking them out with his wolf abilities and speed and everything. Right? And they were just fighting. Izuku's wolves have taken out at least one person, or some have taken out 2 and everything. So, yeah. And some wolves have been hurt, and they retreated to recover quickly, right? And let's say he's told all the wolves to retreat except for Chomp, Ryu, and Tempest, right? And they've just been, and Izuku is still on them with the sword, and let's say Shiraki had enough, and he got out to Nomu. Right? And Izuku didn't notice this, so he's still on them. And Shiraki wanted to see what this kid could do. Right? And because Shiraki only thinks that he could just transform into, just has ears and a wolf tail. And just, yeah. Right? And summon 100 wolves. And he had enough, so he sent both Nomu at Izuku. And Izuku didn't notice, and all the villains started backing up because of that. And Izuku's like, why are you all running away from me? I was just warming up, right? And out of nowhere, Izuku got hit in the stomach. Got hit, and he got crashed into the stairs, and he spat out blood. Right? And Izuku's like, I did not see that coming. And he got cut off there because he got pummeled. He got hit again by the other Nomu. And they're just beating on him. Izawa wants to help, but he's focused on the other ones also. And they just can't do anything, really. They're trying to help badly, but they can't get out. They can't just stop fighting, right? And let's say Chomp, the new commander, he wanted to prove himself, but he was listening to his master to protect Midnight, right? And Midnight's like, aren't you supposed to protect him also? And he said, I can't. And he said, why is that? He said, protect you no matter what. Unless I get new orders, I shall protect you, ma'am. Right? And she said, fine. Right? She doesn't like it. But Deku is always serious with his, with his commands.
And Izuku finally got them off for a second, right? And he's just bleeding badly. And a lot of the students got out of there now, have regrouped to top of the stairs again, right? And let's say Todoroki, Bakugo started trying to help Izuku, but Izuku said, "Stop! You're going to get your attention." And let's say one Nomu started getting Bakugo's attention, and Izuku ran over and took the hit for Bakugo, right? And Izuku's just getting played around now, and the Nomus are just enjoying it, and Shiraki is just laughing about this chaotically, and everyone's just in terror about this. They just can't believe this, right? And Izuku finally got got both of them off for a quick second, and then he said, "That's enough." And he had his hand out, and then a katana came, and it's his real one, and pretty much he started actually doing damage now, slicing at the Nomu, but then the katana he pretty much unsummoned the katana, right? And then he went to a dire wolf form, the speed version first, and he started going around them, slicing now. Cause no, he summoned his sword again and just started slicing around. Right, cause he could pretty much kind of take the parts of the dire wolf versions, right, and he's just fighting as much as he can, running around, and then let's say the Nomu caught up with him now and started hitting him, and the other heroes are now here, and All Might tried to attack Shiraki to stop, but the Nomu focused on that, and Izuku said thank you, and had enough time to transform into, well, his big wolf form, and when both of them tried to go for a punch, Izuku pretty much had controlled into a human form with that, and he caught both punches, and he's as big as, well, the Nomu, the Nomu. He caught both of them, and he's now muscular as them, and this, he says, tank form, right? And no one's seen this at all, Hold on, sorry, I was just getting rid of that. And no one's ever seen this, and he said, and then you see him transform again, and it was his fighting this form pretty much, but in a humanoid form, right? Sorry. And he's just fighting now trying to punch them away, get them off of him real quick, and they just keep coming back on, and other villains are attacking, and Shiraki told Kurogiri to start getting other villains out of here now, right? And Kurogiri got out 300 of them, right? And then 300 got captured already. And Shiraki and Kurogiri are just watching Deku fight these Nomu 2-on-1, right? And Izuku is breathing hard, and let's say Mirako and Toga finally catch up with the group, right? And they had, let's say, Tsuyu that was hurt, bleeding, or just like bleeding from her head, and they're carrying her, and then they just see Izuku fighting these two bird thing, right? And Izuku said out loud, so you're Nomu, right? Is that their name? Right? Smiling about it. And Shiraki said, yes, what? And he said, I see, they're very strong. I like this challenge. And he said, wait, what? And then Izuku said, black lightning. Out loud, he screamed it, and it shocked the Nomu. And it damaged them a lot. And then he said, hell flame. He started using the same moves over and over again. And then he said, imprisonment. Right, and it froze them for about a minute, and Izuku was just rapidly punching them over and over. It looked like two All Mights were going against one Nomu pretty much, but the All Might was taking on both Nomus. right? And All Might didn't know everyone was just looked at All Might, and All Might was, well, just not doing anything. And everyone's like, wait, why aren't you doing anything? Why aren't you helping him? And All Might just is in his own place. He doesn't know what to do. Because he's never seen a kid like this, right? And, yeah. And you just see these students watching, looking at Izuku fighting, not really doing anything about this, right? And let's say Izuku is just is just now even still getting hurt, by these Nomu. And the Nomu have just been hurting him so much. And everyone's thought back how much Izuku's been hurt, right? And everyone kind of noticed that Izuku's regenerating a little bit. Like, the bleeding parts are just regenerating now. And it's just crazy. Right? And Shiraki wants to take him instead of Bakugo. And then let's say Bakugo and Todoroki started using their quirks again. Right? We're using their quirks again and we're helping Izuku. And Izuku said, "Stop! You're gonna get yourself hurt!" Right? Yelling again. And he took 2 shots again for Todoroki and Bakugo. Right? And everyone's like, and then let's say Snipe started shooting at them, and Snipe didn't even know, but he was about to get attacked by a Nomu, and Izuku ran over quickly, pushed him out of the way, and he said, "Don't attack them. Let them focus on me. Get everyone else out now." Right? And everyone's like, "But you're a student. We must protect you." And he said, "I don't care. Get them all out." Right? And Izuku's just fighting. He's risking his own goddamn life to protect everyone else's. And he's breathing hard now. And he's just breathing. Because and the Nomu have stopped moving because they're also tired from Izuku. And it's crazy. Because Shiraki never thought that they could be tired like that. Right? Because now these 2 Nomu are just staring at this one boy Izuku that have done damage. They've done so much damage to Izuku. So much more than they've done to them. But Izuku's still fighting to fight these guys. Right? And Izuku said, "Why?" And Izuku said, "I guess I have to." And he used an ability that he never wanted to use. His fire was still green, but it had little red dashes. It was also reddish in it. And Midnight noticed what's going on. And it's this red aura that he had when he found the killer of his mother. Right? And but Izuku is controlling it more now. And Izuku pretty much just, killed. He finally he didn't kill them, Nomu. Let's say he punched a hole through both Nomu. Right? And both of the Nomu were bleeding pretty much, right? And when everyone was frozen, Izuku stopped moving, the Nomu stopped moving, right? And then Izuku took his hands out of the Nomu's, and the Nomu fell finally. And Izuku finally finished him off. Right? And Izuku looked at Shiraki and said, "You're next," and started running towards him now. Kodagiri teleported them fast enough, but he got Shiraki out. But when he was about to get himself, right, and he got Kodagiri, and Kodagiri says, "Let me go, you damn brat," right? And Kurogiri and Deku said, "No, take me to him now." And he said, "No," right? And let's say that out of nowhere, Izuku got blown back by something, right? And Kurogiri escaped. Everyone didn't. No one knew what that was, right? So they were confused what that was, but they didn't really care that much. All the heroes ran over to Izuku to see if he was okay, right? And they looked at him and he was just bleeding. And he said, "Is everyone okay?" Right? And everyone's like, "Wait, shouldn't you be caring about yourself, though?" And he says, "No, I shouldn't." And they all say, "Why, though? Why for us?" And he says, "Well, it's what a hero does, protects himself, versus his own life." Right? And yeah. They were all just dumbfounded by what Izuku just did. They never thought that he would really do that much damage to whatever those things were. And let's say they captured both of them to see, and they examined what they were. And Izuku pretty much went to Recovery Girl and was in the nurse's office for a long time, you know? And he's like, and students were talking about Izuku, and then one student brought up this point. They said, "Well, for him being hurt so much, he's trained the hardest out of us, right?" And when Recovery Girl looked at him, she noticed when his quirk, like I said once, that he looked at his promotion, right, was Wolf Emperor. And yeah, the girls were near Izuku to protect him. Everyone was just shocked, and they pretty much toughened up their everything. And for some reason, some kids thought Toga was the reason that they attacked. And Toga said, "Why did you..." Because people just told her this. And Toga said, "Why do you think that to me?" "Because your quirk, you could transform into people if you used your blood. Pretty much like a villain." And Toga stopped back into her old life, and she said, "No, it's not true. Just believe what Izuku says." Right? And Mirko was defending her, and so was everyone else. Right? And Suyu is also defending her because Toga helped her, you know? So yeah. And when Izuku came back, everyone was quiet about that. Or it was just pretty quiet. And Izuku went to his room and said, "Girls, do you guys want to watch a movie with me?" And they said, "Yeah, sure." And they went with Izuku into his room and watched a movie. And went to bed. Well, I'm going to end it there, guys. Hope you guys liked the video. So yeah. Let's just stay here for a little bit longer for the 2 hours. So, hold on, I want to check something. How many subscribers are we at, guys? Let's see. Let's see how many subscribers we are at today. Okay, if we go to your channel, we have 419 subscribers, guys. And I've only started, how long did I start? I started a month ago. This is really good, guys. Thank you. I appreciate you guys so much. And have a good rest of your day. Goodbye.